Breaking now at 6, surging new resources to Southern California.
Told the governor and local officials, spare no expense to do what they need to do and contain these fires.
As we hear from volunteers in the Northwest now jumping in to help. Plus,
a KGW investigation uncovered a terrible case of mistaken identity. Now there's a lawsuit against a Vancouver hospital after the wrong man was taken off life support.
And the largest hospital strike in state history now just hours away.
This strike could have been avoided.
Why there's little hope for a breakthrough before some Providence doctors and nurses walk off the job.
From the smell to even how the sun is red, is the worst thing I've seen. Looked like a bomb just went off.
Gone. Just absolute. It's the further you go up, it's just an absolute wasteland.
Just like seeing our home go down, our memories, our just everything about it. We're hurting a lot.
just some of the people grappling with the devastation and the reality already left behind by the firestorm in Southern California, with several major wildfires still burning and a new one that sparked tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pitawanich. Yet another fire broke out just this afternoon, and it is expected to grow fast. This one is in the West Hills area along the 101 on the other side of the mountains north of Malibu. In just a few hours, it has spread to 700 acres. New evacuation orders are in place as helicopters rush to drop water on it.
Meanwhile, today, President Biden announced the federal government will cover 100% of wildfire costs for the next 180 days. That includes pay for first responders, debris and hazmat cleanup, and temporary shelters. It'll also give fire survivors cash to help with immediate needs like food and prescriptions.
And right now, 6 major fires are burning in LA County, the two most destructive, the Palisades fire on the coast, and about a half hour to the east, the Eaton fire in Altadena. Officials have confirmed 6 deaths, with that number expected to rise. More than 10,000 buildings have been destroyed, with 180,000 people under mandatory evacuation orders.
We have live team coverage tonight with John Adams, who talked with volunteers now headed south, and Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafino once again tracking those Santa Ana winds. Matt, how's it all looking?
You know, the only thing I can think of, the one word is just tragic. And the winds are going to be picking up later tonight and tomorrow, too. In fact, they're already picking up right now. Look at the smoke plumes getting sent well offshore, indicating that the offshore winds, the Santa Ana variety, still continue down across Southern California. Not as brutal as they were on Tuesday. That was compounded by strong winds aloft as well, but they are continuing. And there's been basically no rain in the last 9 months. Normally when the Santa Anas kick in, there's already been some fall or early winter rains in, say, December, but that just hasn't happened in Southern California, in part because of La Nina. We expect dry conditions down there. Back in the early part of the year, ton of rain. They had like 10 inches of rain in February. That helped to spur growth of brush and plant life and all that, which is now all dried out and just fuel for the flames. Average annual rainfall, of course, in Southern California, only about a foot, not very much. Now, on to the winds. Northeast in Ontario, San Bernardino, but the gusts are a lot stronger. 40 miles an hour in Ontario. That's a good indication as to what's happening in the mountains. They're probably stronger. We're expecting gusts of 75 miles an hour there, which of course is problematic. You can see the winds blowing again strongly offshore. This is early tomorrow morning. They should begin to back off tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. So strong winds overnight. That will promote long-range spotting. So embers, burning embers getting sent a mile, 2 miles downstream of the fire, potentially starting new fires. Winds diminish tomorrow evening, but another Santa Ana event likely early next week, guys.
Matt, a tragic situation. Thank you for that information. Let's bring in John Adams now at PDX.
John, you talked to Red Cross volunteers who are headed now to help. What'd you learn?
Yeah, David and Christine, 10 Red Cross volunteers from Oregon and Southwest Washington are responding to the fires in Los Angeles, but that number could increase as the situation evolves. As wildfires in the LA area displace thousands, Red Cross shelters have given people a safe place to stay. They are staffed by volunteers from across the country, like Daryl Fuller from Kaiser.
We provide them with food, we provide them with a place to stay, but perhaps more important than anything else, we let them know that they're not going to walk through this alone.
Fuller has been responding to disasters since 2018, including the wildfires in Maui in 2023. The Red Cross often stays in areas for months or longer to help those affected rebuild.
We don't just have shelters, we're there for the long haul.
The Red Cross set up 7 shelters in Los Angeles overnight as fires continue to rage, spread by relentless Santa Ana winds.
And we're welcoming people literally who show up in the middle of the night with just the clothes on their back.
Red Cross Cascade CEO Priscilla Fuentes is a Los Angeles native. Fuentes says the response from the Red Cross wouldn't be possible without donations.
There's only one way that I'm able to and the other volunteers are able to get on planes and go and help, and that is through the generosity of our donors who have opened up their hearts and their wallets to help and support this mission.
And those volunteers we spoke with today will be in Los Angeles for at least 2 weeks, but that stay could be extended depending on what happens on the ground there. David and Christine, back to you.
Yeah, that need is so great and only growing. John Adams at PDX. By the way, KGW is teaming up with the American Red Cross to support wildfire victims in Southern California. If you have the means, please consider donating. Just scan that QR code or look for the links at kgw.com. This is on our homepage. Plus, on the bar at the very top, it's in blue under Donate California Fires. You can also donate at any U.S. bank branch. Or thanks to them, donations in the short term are going to help the Red Cross shelter and feed survivors, provide mental health support, and help with reunification efforts.
And we will be monitoring the very latest on these wildfires in Southern California, both on air and streaming. Be sure to download the KGW Plus app on your smart TV for 24/7 updates, including continuous live coverage from our NBC affiliate in Los Angeles.
Let's return to the Northwest and get to your headlines. A search for an armed man in North Portland's Kenton neighborhood ended this morning with no suspect in custody. Just before 1 a.m., the suspect allegedly robbed the Mousetrap Tavern on North Lombard. Police say customers were still in the bar at the time and that shots were fired, but no one was hurt. Officers then spotted a person matching that suspect's description, carrying a rifle through the neighborhood, who they say ran from police. That led to a shelter-in-place order as police set up a big search. That order was lifted around 8.
The driver who police say caused a crash that killed 2 women in Northeast Portland the day before Thanksgiving has been arrested on manslaughter charges. 60-year-old Kim Nguyen was allegedly driving drunk on Northeast Lombard when he crashed head-on into 2 oncoming cars. One of the women killed a Tigard Tualatin Middle School custodian, Andrea Doring. Last month, a grand jury indicted Nguyen on second-degree manslaughter and DUI charges. He was released from the hospital this week and booked into jail.
And a former student teacher at Sherwood High will be spending the next 3 years behind bars after admitting he exchanged sexually explicit messages with a student. Mason Dominguez, who is now 25, was a George Fox University student teacher in Sherwood in the spring of 2023. He was fired after admitting to messaging a student on social media. A second student then came forward and reported that Dominguez sent her sexually explicit images of himself. This week, Dominguez pleaded guilty to luring a minor and related charges. He will now be required to register as a sex offender.
And we've got more breaking news to tell you about because it appears the largest healthcare worker strike in Oregon history is set to start in less than 12 hours.
Celine Stevens is live outside the Oregon Nurses Association in Tualatin. Celine, we're talking 5,000 workers, the first strike involving doctors in Oregon, impacting all Providence hospitals and also some clinics.
David, Christine, that's right. So while Providence has those temporary replacement workers, around 2,000 of them staffed and ready to go to keep up with patient demand, they said it will not be business as usual at these hospitals. In fact, Providence says the Oregon Nurses Association is responsible for any impacted care to patients, but the union is saying that they're not just doing this for themselves, but for their patients.
This strike could have been avoided. And frankly, there is still time, even at this 11th hour.
I think we feel terrible that it has come to this. Well, ONA has been kind of forecasting this, kind of historic strike since early fall.
Providence healthcare workers, represented by the Oregon Nurses Association, are ready to strike as soon as Friday morning.
The strike is about far more than just wages. It's about staffing, employee health care, patient care, and overall working conditions.
The union argues that Providence allows hospitals and clinics to be understaffed. However, Providence says that it is completely false. The strike would involve nearly 5,000 healthcare workers in the Providence healthcare system, potentially affecting thousands in need of medical care.
There is the intention of making sure we're being mindful and planful about safe staffing. And then there's the today reality when someone's called in sick or we're, in the middle of a surge of patients. And so, the best laid plans that we walk into and we plan for together can't always happen.
We are caring for a growing volume of patients with a shrinking professional staff.
3 women's clinics will be shutting down during the strike, with another having limited services. Providence also warned that it will limit patients at St. Vincent Hospital.
I worry that this is going to have impact. We have managed our previous strikes without impact to the community. This one includes providers. There is no replacement workforce for providers.
Physicians and nurses argue that great providers have left for better contracts to other nearby facilities, and if Providence wants to retain their workers, they need to meet their demands. They say it's not just for the benefit of nurses and doctors, but for patients' well-being as well.
We on the front lines are experiencing increasingly strained and dangerous working conditions. There has been a complete stagnation in our staffing strategy and the compensation models.
This strike set to affect 8 Providence hospitals and 6 Providence clinics. Now, while the nurses' strike is more widespread, as for physicians, only physicians coming out of Providence, St. Vincent, and the Providence Women's Clinics will be participating. And at that, it'll only be the hospitalists, OB hospitalists, and the palliative care physicians. Providence says they'll be in contact with any patients whose appointments need to be canceled. Back to you.
And it appears there is no end date for the strike either. Thanks, Celine. Appreciate the update.